Tasha was used to the sounds of the city. It was something she'd gotten accustomed to after living in the hustle and bustle for years. The honking of horns, the chatter of busy people, and the hum of cars moving in every direction, it was the soundtrack to her daily life. As she walked down the sidewalk, her feet making rhythmic sounds on the pavement, she felt the sun warming her skin. It was just another ordinary day, but Tasha loved these simple moments. She was finally done with her shift at the hospital, where she worked as a nurse, and now she was heading home to enjoy a quiet evening. The street was filled with people, each person lost in their own world. A few hurriedly scrolled through their phones, others sipped on their coffee, while some were caught up in conversations. The energy of the place was high, but in a way, it gave Tasha a sense of peace. The noise of the city was like a gentle hum, always there, always constant. Tasha's mind wasn't on anything in particular. She was thinking about how she'd unwind once she got home. Maybe watch a few episodes of her favorite TV show or read a book. She was excited to kick back and relax. But just as she passed the corner of Fifth Avenue, her attention was suddenly caught by something that made her heart race. Ahead, a little girl was crossing the street. She couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old, and Tasha noticed how tiny she looked compared to the busy road. The girl was walking, but she didn't seem to be paying much attention to the traffic. She was walking too close to the curb, her small figure barely visible above the parked cars lining the road. Tasha's instincts immediately flared. She couldn't help but feel a sense of unease as she watched the child. Tasha tried to ignore the feeling, telling herself it was nothing. But then she saw it, the car. It appeared from around the corner, speeding down the street. It was going too fast, much faster than the other cars around it. Tasha's stomach dropped as she realized the car was heading straight for the little girl. She watched in horror as the driver didn't seem to notice the child until the last second. Time slowed. Tasha didn't think, she didn't have time to. Without hesitation, she sprinted toward the little girl, pushing herself harder than she ever had. She could hear the screech of the car's tires as it tried to stop. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat louder than the last. She was so close, yet the car was almost there. In one swift motion, Tasha grabbed the little girl, pulling her out of harm's way. She could feel the rush of adrenaline surge through her body as she yanked the girl to the side. The car's front bumper barely grazed her coat as she rolled them both onto the sidewalk, out of the path of danger. They landed hard on the pavement, but Tasha didn't feel the impact. Her focus was entirely on the little girl, who was now in her arms. She quickly checked to make sure the child was okay. "Hey, are you all right?" Tasha asked, her voice shaky but trying to keep calm. The little girl's wide eyes met hers, full of shock and fear. She didn't say anything at first, but then her voice trembled. I think so," she whispered. Tasha's heart melted. She hugged the girl gently, making sure she hadn't been hurt in any way. She ran her hands over the girl's body, checking for any injuries. Luckily, the girl seemed fine, just shaken up. "Don't worry. You're okay. You're safe now," Tasha reassured her, her voice soft but firm. The girl nodded slowly, still in shock. As Tasha helped her to her feet, she could hear the car come to a screeching halt behind them. The driver quickly opened the door and jumped out. Tasha turned to see a man in a crisp suit rushing towards them, his face a mixture of panic and relief. "Oh my God. Are you all right?" the man called out as he approached. Tasha looked up at him, her breath still shaky from the adrenaline, but she nodded. "We're fine." "She's fine," Tasha replied, her voice calm despite the wild racing of her heart. The man stood there, staring at them both, visibly shaken. He was tall, well-dressed, and had a serious air about him. There was something about him that felt important, though Tasha didn't have the time or energy to think about it. She was just focused on making sure the little girl was okay. The man looked down at his daughter, his face softening when he saw her. "Emma, you're okay, thank God," he said, bending down to scoop her into his arms. She clung to him, tears now welling in her eyes. Tasha took a step back, feeling awkward now that the danger had passed. The man turned to her, his expression full of gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you. You saved my daughter's life," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Tasha shook her head, feeling a bit embarrassed. "It was nothing. Just a lucky moment," she said, trying to downplay it. But the man wasn't having it. He stepped closer, his eyes intense. "No, you don't understand. What you did, you saved her. You're a hero," he insisted. Tasha felt uncomfortable with all the attention. She didn't think of herself as a hero. She had just reacted, like anyone would have. But before she could respond, the man pulled out his phone. "I need to do something for you," he said. "Let me at least take you out to dinner or offer you a reward. You deserve it." Tasha felt her cheeks flush at the suggestion. She wasn't looking for a reward. She didn't need anything. "I'm just glad she's okay," she said, stepping back. But the man wasn't going to let it go. "I'm Gregory Stone," he said, holding out his hand. "I'm Emma's father. You saved my little girl. Please, let me thank you properly." Tasha hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say or do. She didn't want to make a big deal of it, but at the same time, she couldn't ignore the sincerity in his voice. "I really don't need anything," she said again, though it came out a bit softer this time. Gregory didn't push any further. He simply gave her a grateful smile and nodded. "All right, but please, let me know if you ever change your mind. You'll always have a friend in me." With that, he turned, still holding Emma tightly in his arms. Tasha watched them walk away, still feeling a rush of emotions. The adrenaline was fading, and now all she could think about was how quickly things had happened. One moment, she was just another person on the street, the next, she had saved a life. Tasha took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. As she continued walking down the sidewalk, her mind raced with what had just happened. She didn't know it then, but this simple act of kindness would change everything for her. As the days passed, Tasha couldn't stop thinking about the incident. The rush of adrenaline, the fear, and the intense relief when she realized the little girl was okay, it all replayed in her mind over and over again. She hadn't expected the drama that day, nor had she expected the man who had approached her afterward to make such an impression. Gregory Stone, Emma's father, was no ordinary man. The way he had spoken to her, so earnestly and full of gratitude, left a lasting mark. But Tasha wasn't someone who liked to draw attention to herself. She had saved a life, yes, but she didn't need a thank you. Her work at the hospital had taught her that helping people was simply what you did. It was what she had always done, and it was the right thing to do. Yet, as the days passed, she found herself walking through the busy streets, trying to push the memory to the back of her mind. She had her own life. After all, her job at the hospital kept her busy, and she had plenty to keep her occupied at home. But something nagged at her. The image of Gregory's face, his relief at his daughter's safety, lingered in her thoughts. She didn't know why it was bothering her so much. It wasn't like her to dwell on such things. Still, there was a feeling of connection she couldn't shake off. Meanwhile, Gregory was unable to stop thinking about Tasha either. Ever since that day, he had been restless. He had tried to push the thoughts away. He was a busy man, after all, but there was something about her that intrigued him. She had saved his daughter's life without a second thought. And she hadn't asked for anything in return. Most people would have demanded some sort of reward, but not Tasha. She had simply acted in the heat of the moment, without hesitation. It was rare to meet someone like that. The kind of person who didn't think about what they would get in return. The kind of person who acted out of pure instinct, out of kindness. He found himself wanting to know more about her, wanting to thank her properly for what she had done. But how? He had given her his number, but he hadn't heard from her. Gregory wasn't the type of man who was used to not getting what he wanted. If he wanted something, he usually went after it. But he wasn't sure what to do now. He didn't want to seem overbearing or make Tasha uncomfortable. She hadn't even asked for his help, so it felt strange to push further. Gregory couldn't help but feel guilty. Here was a woman who had risked her own safety for his daughter, and all he had done was offer her a simple thank you. He knew it wasn't enough. He needed to do more. But what could he offer that would be meaningful to her? He didn't know her well enough to know what she would appreciate. Should he offer money? A gift? It didn't seem right. He wanted to do something that would show her just how much he appreciated her. After several days of trying to figure out how to reach out to her, Gregory finally decided to take matters into his own hands. He wasn't going to wait around anymore. He would find a way to show her that her act of kindness had truly made a difference in his life and in Emma's. He could feel his daughter's gratitude every time she spoke about Tasha, and he knew deep down that he couldn't just leave it at that. Tasha deserved more. One afternoon, Gregory took a deep breath and called the number he had saved in his phone. He wasn't sure what to expect, but he hoped she would answer. It rang a few times before finally picking up. "Hello." Tasha's voice came through, calm and soft, but with a hint of surprise. "Hi, Tasha," Gregory said, trying to sound casual but failing to hide the warmth in his voice. "This is Gregory Stone, from the other day." Tasha paused, clearly recognizing the name. "Oh, hi," she said, her voice sounding slightly nervous. "I didn't expect to hear from you." I know, Gregory replied. "But I've been thinking about what happened. I can't just let it go. You saved my daughter, and I just feel like I need to do something for you. Something more than just a simple thank you." Tasha was silent for a moment. She didn't want to accept any kind of reward. She had done what anyone would do in her position. But Gregory's sincerity was hard to ignore. She could hear the genuine concern in his voice, and it made her pause. "I really appreciate the offer, but I don't need anything," Tasha said carefully. "I just did what felt right. I'm just happy Emma is okay." Gregory sighed. "I understand that, but it's not enough for me. I need to express my gratitude in a way that matters. I can't just walk away and forget about it. Please, let me take you out for a meal, or I can donate to a charity in your name, or anything that feels right to you. Just let me show you how much I appreciate what you did." Tasha felt torn. She didn't want to accept anything from him, but there was something in Gregory's voice that made it hard to turn him down. He wasn't just offering her a thank you, he wanted to make sure she knew how much she had meant to him and Emma. Tasha knew this was about more than just the car accident. It was about connection, about gratitude, and about recognizing the goodness in the world. "All right," she said slowly, still unsure. "But only if you promise it won't be anything too extravagant." Gregory chuckled. "I promise," he said. "Nothing extravagant. Just dinner. And if you want to bring a friend or make it casual, that's fine too. I just need to show you that I'm grateful." Tasha agreed to meet him at a small cafe the following evening, though she was still unsure of what to expect. She wasn't used to being the center of attention or receiving gratitude in this way. But as she hung up the phone, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something bigger. She didn't know why, but something told her this simple act of kindness would change her life in ways she couldn't yet understand. The evening of their meeting finally arrived, and Tasha found herself standing outside the small cafe Gregory had suggested. She wasn't used to this kind of situation. Dinner with a man she barely knew, especially one as wealthy and well-dressed as Gregory Stone, felt strangely out of place. She wasn't sure what to expect, but she had agreed to it for one reason: he had asked, and he was sincere in his gratitude. Tasha wasn't one to let kindness go unnoticed. She adjusted her coat as the cool evening air wrapped around her. It wasn't particularly cold, but it was the kind of weather that made you appreciate a warm space. As she approached the entrance of the cafe, she saw Gregory standing by the door, his back straight and his face full of relief. The moment he saw her, he smiled, and Tasha felt the tension in her chest ease just a little. He wasn't as intimidating as she had imagined, and there was something calming about the way he greeted her. "Good evening, Tasha," Gregory said, stepping forward to open the door for her. "I'm really glad you agreed to come." "Please, after you." Tasha nodded and stepped inside. The warm air inside the cafe greeted her like a blanket. The place was cozy, with soft lighting and the gentle murmur of conversations around them. It wasn't too crowded, but there was a sense of life to the place that made it inviting. Gregory led her to a small table by the window, where they could watch the street outside while enjoying their meal. Tasha took her seat, glancing around at the quiet ambience. Gregory sat across from her, folding his napkin neatly as he settled into his chair. He looked at her with a genuine smile, his eyes soft and appreciative. "I hope this place is all right," he said. "It's not too fancy, but I thought it would be more comfortable for us." "It's perfect," Tasha replied, offering him a small smile. "Thank you for inviting me." Gregory nodded, clearly pleased by her response. They both sat quietly for a moment, and Tasha could feel the weight of the situation. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable, but it was filled with unspoken thoughts. Gregory was clearly trying to figure out how to express the depth of his gratitude without making things awkward. Tasha, on the other hand, was trying to relax. She wasn't used to people wanting to do things for her. It wasn't her nature to be the recipient of attention or kindness. But she had to admit, there was something warming about the gesture. The waiter came by and handed them their menus. After a few minutes of browsing, Gregory made his choice. Tasha followed suit, ordering something simple, not wanting to make a fuss. She wasn't here for the food, she was here because Gregory had insisted. She could tell he was trying to make her feel comfortable, but she still felt a little out of place. Once the waiter left, Gregory leaned forward slightly, his expression becoming more serious. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened that day. About how you saved Emma. You must have been terrified, but you acted so quickly. I don't know how you did it, but I'm so grateful that you did." Tasha felt her cheeks warm. "I didn't really think about it," she said, her voice soft. "I just saw her, and something told me I had to help. There wasn't time to think about anything else. It was just instinct, I guess." Gregory nodded thoughtfully. "Instinct is a powerful thing," he said. "But not everyone would have reacted the way you did. Most people would freeze, or hesitate. But you didn't. You saved her life. You didn't even know her, and yet you risked yourself for her." Tasha felt a little uncomfortable with the praise, but she understood why Gregory was saying it. He wasn't just grateful, he was trying to make sense of the randomness of the situation. For him, it was more than just a thank you, it was a realization that someone who had no reason to care had gone above and beyond to help his daughter. She could see the weight of that realization in his eyes. "I didn't really think about it," she repeated, looking down at the table for a moment. "It wasn't about who she was or what might happen. I just couldn't let her get hurt." Gregory smiled, though there was a hint of admiration in his gaze. "You're an incredible person, Tasha," he said. "And I don't want you to think that I'm just saying this to make you feel uncomfortable. I really mean it. People like you are rare. And it's not just about saving Emma. It's about who you are. I can tell that you don't do things for recognition. You do them because they're right. Tasha wasn't sure how to respond to that. It wasn't the kind of compliment she was used to receiving. She had always been the type to stay out of the spotlight, to help others quietly and without fanfare. But something about the way Gregory said it made her feel as though her actions had truly mattered. The conversation shifted after that, moving to more casual topics. They talked about their work, their interests, and the little details that made life feel ordinary. Gregory shared stories about his daughter Emma, and Tasha couldn't help but smile as he spoke about the little things she did that made him proud. It was clear that he loved his daughter deeply, and Tasha found herself feeling glad that she had been able to keep her safe. For a moment, Tasha felt like she was just having dinner with a regular person, not someone who was rich or influential. Gregory was down to earth, easy to talk to, and genuinely kind. He wasn't trying to impress her, nor was he trying to win her over with extravagant gestures. He was simply a father who was thankful for the woman who had saved his child. As the meal progressed, the initial awkwardness began to fade. Tasha found herself relaxing, laughing at the funny stories Gregory told and enjoying the peaceful atmosphere of the cafe. She realized that, despite her hesitation at the beginning, this dinner had turned out to be more than she expected. She had come in thinking it would be uncomfortable, but it wasn't. It was just two people talking and sharing a moment of connection. Gregory leaned back in his chair as they finished their meals, looking at her with a content expression. "Thank you for giving me this chance to talk to you," he said. "I know it's a little unusual, but I'm glad we did this." Tasha smiled, feeling a sense of calm that she hadn't expected. "I'm glad we did too," she replied. As they left the cafe and stepped back into the cool night air, Tasha felt a little lighter. She still wasn't sure where this would all lead, but she couldn't deny that it had been a good evening. She had gone in with no expectations, and now, as she walked away, she realized that maybe some things were meant to happen exactly the way they did. A week had passed since Tasha's dinner with Gregory, and life had returned to its usual pace. The days were filled with work at the hospital, and when she wasn't busy caring for patients, she tried to enjoy the few quiet moments she had. But something about her encounter with Gregory lingered in the back of her mind. It wasn't the dinner itself, though that had been pleasant enough. It was more about the sense of gratitude he had shown. She hadn't expected someone like him, wealthy, influential, to care so deeply about her simple act of kindness. It had been humbling, and it left her wondering if she had done the right thing by meeting with him. Tasha wasn't used to people trying to repay her. She had always believed that helping others was just part of being human. It wasn't about recognition or rewards, it was about doing the right thing when it was needed. But Gregory had made her feel as if her actions were much more significant than she had realized. She had helped a child. Yes, it was a quick decision in the heat of the moment, but it had changed everything for him and for Emma. And yet, despite the gratitude he had shown, Tasha still hadn't been able to shake off the feeling that Gregory was trying to do more than just thank her. There was something in his manner, something in the way he spoke about her, that made her feel as though he saw her as more than just a stranger who had helped his daughter. She couldn't explain it, but she felt a kind of unease when she thought about the next steps. It was a Saturday morning when Tasha's phone buzzed with a message. She had just finished a late shift at the hospital and was in the middle of sipping her coffee when she glanced at the screen. It was from Gregory. "Hey, Tasha, I know this might be a bit sudden, but I've been thinking. I'd like to offer you something, a gesture of my gratitude. I'm not sure what you'd like, but I'd really like to do something to show how much your help meant to me and Emma. Let's chat. I promise it won't be anything crazy." Tasha stared at the message for a moment, unsure of how to respond. She had made it clear before that she didn't want any kind of reward. She had done what anyone would have done in her position, but Gregory didn't seem to accept that. There was a part of her that wanted to ignore the message, to pretend it hadn't been sent. But she also knew that he was a man who didn't easily let things go. He was persistent in his gratitude, and in a way, she respected that. Still, she wasn't sure how to navigate it. After a moment of hesitation, she typed a response, "I really appreciate your kindness, but I don't want anything in return. I've said this before, but I meant it. I just did what felt right." She sent the message and put her phone down, feeling a sense of relief. That should have been the end of it. Gregory would understand, and maybe they could leave things at that. But, as with everything that seemed to involve him, the situation was more complicated than she had expected. The next day, Tasha found herself walking down the same street where the accident had happened, heading to the cafe to grab a coffee before heading home. She had almost forgotten about Gregory's message when, out of the corner of her eye, she noticed a familiar face. It was him, Gregory. She stopped in her tracks, unsure of whether to approach or keep walking. Gregory spotted her almost immediately. He smiled warmly and waved. Tasha hesitated for only a moment before making her way toward him. "Hey, Tasha," Gregory said, his voice casual but with an underlying sincerity that she couldn't quite shake off. "I hope I'm not interrupting your day. I just wanted to talk, if you have a moment." Tasha smiled, though she couldn't quite hide the curiosity in her eyes. "Of course. What's up?" "I got your message," Gregory began, looking a little hesitant. "But I'm afraid I can't let it go. I know you've said that you don't want anything, but I can't shake the feeling that I owe you more than just a thank you." Tasha felt a slight pressure in her chest. She wasn't sure how to explain to him that she didn't need any of this. She hadn't been looking for anything in return. "Gregory, I really mean it," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "I don't want any kind of reward. What I did, it was nothing, really." He shook his head slowly. "You keep saying that, but I don't think you understand what it means to me. To Emma. You saved her life. And for that, I'll always be grateful." Tasha sighed, her shoulders sagging slightly. She knew he was trying to express his gratitude, but it was beginning to feel like he wasn't hearing her. "I understand, Gregory. But please understand that I don't expect anything. What I did was instinct. It wasn't something I planned, and it's not something I need credit for. Emma is fine, and that's all that matters." Gregory stood silently for a moment, looking at her with a mixture of frustration and understanding. "I get it. I do. But it's hard for me to just walk away and forget that someone like you exists. Someone so selfless. Someone who doesn't just think about themselves. And I can't pretend that I'm okay with leaving it at that." Tasha felt a tug at her heart. There was a raw sincerity in his voice, a depth of emotion that was impossible to ignore. Gregory wasn't just grateful for what she had done, he was in awe of her as a person. He wasn't trying to make her feel uncomfortable, he was just trying to express how much her actions had affected him. "I'm not asking for anything big," he added, his tone softer now. "But I do want to offer you something. Maybe we could go for a coffee, just the two of us? I promise, no pressure. Just a chance to talk, if you'd like." Tasha stood still for a moment, considering his words. She wasn't used to people being so persistent, and she wasn't used to someone showing this much care for her. There was a part of her that wanted to refuse, to tell him again that it wasn't necessary. But another part of her, the part that had been touched by his sincerity, hesitated. "All right," she said finally, with a small smile. "A coffee wouldn't hurt." Gregory's face lit up. "Thank you, Tasha. I promise, just coffee. And no pressure. I just want to show you that I'm grateful in my own way." Tasha nodded, still unsure of what would come of this. She didn't know where it would lead, but she couldn't deny that there was something about Gregory's persistence that made her want to give him the chance to explain himself. After all, he had done more than just thank her. He had made her realize that sometimes, kindness needed to be returned, even when it wasn't asked for. Over the next few weeks, Tasha found herself thinking about Gregory more than she expected. Their coffee date had been simple, just two people sitting in a quiet corner of a cafe, talking about everything and nothing at all. It had been easy to talk to him, and for the first time in a long while, Tasha found herself feeling at ease with someone outside of her usual circle. There was something about him that made her feel like she could be herself, without any pretenses. The coffee had turned into more than just a casual conversation. They shared stories of their lives, their challenges, and their triumphs. Gregory had opened up about his work, about the pressures he faced as a businessman, and the constant juggling act of balancing his personal and professional life. Tasha listened, offering her thoughts when needed, but mostly just letting him talk. She understood what it was like to be overwhelmed, to carry the weight of responsibility on your shoulders. But it wasn't just Gregory's life that they discussed. They also spoke about the little things that made life worth living: the books they read, the places they wanted to visit, the foods they enjoyed. They laughed about the silly moments in their lives, and even the serious moments became lighter in his company. For the first time, Tasha found herself enjoying the conversations, feeling like there was more to life than just work and routine. As they spent more time together, Tasha noticed something she hadn't expected. Gregory wasn't just a grateful father trying to repay her for saving his daughter, he was someone who genuinely cared about her. He was interested in her thoughts, her dreams, and her future. And he never once made her feel obligated to accept anything from him. Every time she tried to refuse a gift or a gesture, he accepted it with grace, never pushing her boundaries. He simply wanted to get to know her better. One evening, after another long day at the hospital, Tasha received a call from Gregory. This time, his voice sounded different, more serious, but still warm. "Tasha," he began, "I've been thinking a lot about our conversations, and I want to tell you something. I've got a little surprise for you, and I hope you'll consider it." Tasha felt a small knot form in her stomach. She had a feeling this wasn't just another casual invitation. "What kind of surprise?" she asked, curious but cautious. "I want to offer you a job," he said, his voice confident yet soft. "Not just any job, but something that could make a difference for you. I've been really impressed by your work ethic, your kindness, and your ability to stay grounded in this world that's full of distractions. I think you'd be a great fit at one of the initiatives I've been working on. It's a nonprofit project, aimed at helping people in need. You'd be in charge of coordinating outreach programs. I know it's a big ask, but I wanted to offer it to you, because I think you'd do amazing things with it." Tasha was silent for a moment. She hadn't expected something like this. A job offer from Gregory, of all people. She didn't know how to react. She had always been self-reliant, never wanting to rely on anyone for anything. And yet, here was Gregory, offering her an opportunity that could change her life. "I don't know what to say," she replied slowly. "This is a big offer, Gregory. I don't want to take anything I don't feel right about." Gregory's voice softened. "I understand. I didn't want to pressure you, but I truly believe you'd be a perfect fit for this role. It's not just about the job, it's about making an impact, and I know that's something that matters to you. You've got so much potential, Tasha. I just want to give you a chance to use it in a way that's meaningful." Tasha couldn't help but feel moved by his words. She had never thought of herself as someone with potential for something bigger, but Gregory had a way of seeing things she hadn't. He believed in her, even when she wasn't sure she believed in herself. After a long pause, Tasha finally spoke. "I'll think about it, Gregory. I'm not saying no, but I need time to really consider it." Gregory seemed relieved. "Take all the time you need. There's no rush. I just wanted to put it out there, and if you're ever ready, You know where to find me. The conversation ended, but Tasha couldn't stop thinking about it. The offer, the possibilities, the chance to do something that could make a real difference. It felt overwhelming, but it also felt right. She had spent so many years in her routine, helping others at the hospital, but she had never really thought about what it would be like to have a bigger platform, a way to reach even more people. The next few days were filled with reflection. Tasha couldn't deny that she was flattered by the offer, but it wasn't just about the job. It was about the path it could open for her. She had always wanted to do more, but she had been hesitant to take risks. She had always played it safe, focusing on what she knew. But now, with Gregory's offer on the table, she realized that maybe it was time for her to step out of her comfort zone. One evening, a few days after the phone call, Tasha found herself sitting in her small apartment, her mind racing with thoughts. She thought about the life she had built for herself, comfortable, predictable, but perhaps a little too small for what she truly wanted. Then she thought about Gregory, and how his belief in her had opened her eyes to possibilities she had never considered. He wasn't just offering her a job, he was offering her a chance to grow, to make a bigger impact, and maybe even to change her life. She picked up her phone and dialed his number, her heart pounding as it rang. When Gregory answered, there was an eager tone in his voice. "Tasha. I've thought about it," she said, her voice steady but filled with a sense of purpose. "And I'm ready. I want to take the job." Gregory's voice broke into a smile, even though she couldn't see it. "That's great, Tasha. I'm so glad. You're going to do amazing things, I just know it." Tasha felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She wasn't sure exactly where this new path would lead, but she knew it was the right choice. As she hung up the phone, she felt a sense of excitement bubbling inside her. She was about to take a step into the unknown, but for the first time, she felt ready for whatever came next. And maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something even bigger than she had ever imagined.